Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of Super Pros Bros. I'm Player 2, Eli, and with me, as always, is...
Player one, Ike, and Count Brocula. Did you know that this pod is on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify?
I did not Scarlett Johansson. Are those the same places that people could
Like,
comment
share.
and subscribe?
Yeah, I think it really is.
Oh, how about that?
Well, how about what you've been up to? Got some good news, I believe.
I do have some good news. Um, and it's going to be delivered in very, very general vagaries. Um, but
Very,
the...
very general vagaries.
You're welcome. Um, so there has been a resolution with the ongoing legal dispute between my wife and her former employer, and that is finally done. The last
Huzzah!
last bit of paperwork has been signed, um, so that is done. Thank fuck.
Can
Um,
we confirm or deny that we did, in fact, stick it to the man dick?
um, it went well for us. That is again, that's about all I'm gonna say. Um,
Slapping cocks!
slap.
I know as much as y'all do. I'm just
Yeah,
hoping.
it's good. Things went well. But it's one of those like
Stress
don't.
has been relieved.
Yeah, it is a big weight off the shoulders.
And a big hard
And
on in the pants.
yes, to just swinging around. I can't turn tight corners. I just smack the wall. You're welcome.
So, you know the movie Serenity?
Yes.
In the end, they're like, what do you have left? And Jane's like, I've got like one grenade, my hanging cod, or like
My swinging
my swinging
cod.
cod. For the longest time, I was like, is that a weapon? And I looked it up. It's like, is this a euphemism for his dick? I'm like, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's just talking about fucking dong.
Yeah. Big old wang jang dangle.
Uh, that movie was great.
It is fire.
Yep. Outside of that, I am just continuing grinding away through applications, praying to fuck that someone goes, this guy seems sort of qualified, and will call me
Yeah.
so I can
You're
set up
looking
an
for
interview.
mostly in the Portland, northern
As best
Oregon's
I
area.
can, or just anything that is full time remote.
Yeah, I mean
'Cause-
601. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that would allow you to move to
Yes.
northern-ish Oregon.
Yep. That is still the plan so
So in
far.
the most random of occurrences, if y'all know of a position like that, feel free to send us an email at superprosbros@gmail.com. superprosebros at gmail.com. As I
Thank
looked,
you in advance.
yes. As I was looking this up, I noticed today on Google they are celebrating the great Alan Rickman. I don't know why. It's not his birthday. It's not his death day. Not that that would be a thing that you would ever celebrate.
Is there
But
like a notable movie he made that came out today?
it's just the doodle on the thing, as far as I can tell.
Weird.
Yeah, but lovely man. Everything I heard about him, I really wish I got to work with him. Sad that I don't. Glad that he was just a peach. Like, I mean, my favorite story I've ever heard about him is that on like day or movie one of the Harry Potter series, he's walking around doing his Snape biz.
Uh-huh.
Rupert Grint, who played Ron, is doodling and drawing him, and in character, Snape took it, in scene, and then gave it back to him afterwards, and then asked Rupert Grint if he could have it, and he goes,
Aww.
"Yeah," and he framed it, and it's on his wall, and he's like, "It's one of my most prized possessions." Like, dude, like, fucking, my heart can only melt so much. That is just the sweetest thing.
I think one of my it's not. I just thought of things in the back of Harry Potter filming, and it's like the second one. The guy who plays Lucius Malfoy, like at
Mm.
one point, he accidentally hit um
The guy that played
Daniel
Draco, right?
Radcliffe. Yeah, he
Oh,
hit Daniel
Daniel
Radcliffe
Radcliffe.
like with
Okay.
his cane. He's like, "Oh shit!" and like broke character. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and like gave him a hug.
Aw.
It's just like, "Oh, he's not evil. That's
No.
wonderful."
Yeah, that guy's. I want to say. I think that guy played Bond once too, and I've heard a lot of cool like behind the scenes shit about him. Just being like kind of like, it's kind of a banger. Speaking of bangers, any other bangers you got going on?
Uh, a whole hell of a lot.
Hmm.
Otherwise, life has been pretty much that kind of grind and
Yeah.
just trying to make myself go to work. That's a
Welcome
that's
to
a
society.
that's a struggle bus. The struggle bus is very real. Like I thought I didn't have motivation before. It's like no, no, no. We can go a few more rungs down. Don't you worry, homie. I got you. So every day I get up and I look at like my cats on the couch. I'm like, fuck. I could call in and just cuddle with you bastards for like 4 hours. It's a tempting offer. I should go to work.
Damn.
Damn. I made the mistake one morning of actually laying down. I'm like, I got 20 minutes. I'll just lay down and watch something on YouTube. Oh, it was hard to get back up. Oh, it was a trap. Oh boy. Because Heimdall's like, ooh, space, and just like curled up on top of me, my chest. And so I'm just like, hey, buddy. And I'm like, oh, it's 8:15.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm late. Ooh. Oh shit. What about you? What's going on?
Um, trying to think. Like, I've been testing really hard for the Pro Tour that is now starting. We are recording this on the 30th of April. This,
Way
like,
to date us. Sorry.
I date us all fucking day. Um, it starts on the 5th. I fly out on the 4th. So in like 5 or 6 days, I am playing in like one of the more important tournaments I'm going to probably one of the top 10 important tournaments I'm going to play within this decade, and definitely the most important one of the most important, probably the second most important tournament I'm going to play this year. So it's fucking like um but it's been going pretty well. I had a friend of mine who I used to test with. We had like a small falling out, mostly my fault. And he mentioned at one point during testing, he's like, I love this more than actually playing in the tournament that you go to play. And it really became clear the other day when I was playing with a couple of the guys that I'm becoming pretty friendly with in this testing group. I was like, yeah, this is kind of awesome. You're going towards something that's important, but what you're doing doesn't matter. You're learning, you get to talk shit, you're trying to improve. So you're trying to play your best, but if you don't, it's okay. The end result doesn't matter. Knowledge does. It's kind of awesome. It's just like a whole free roll. It's great. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking rad. Um, so really, I messaged him the other day. I was like, you know what? You're right. This is pretty much the best. Just playing with people that are good. So you're getting like great games in. You're like learning stuff. There's lots of good things going on, and so like getting all that knowledge, learning stuff, commiserating, but also, you can talk shit. You can just have casual conversations. It's like, it's. I guess it's got to be what it's like to be. This is making it sound like way better than it is, but like on an Olympic team, or like I was never in sports in high school, but like if you're on the varsity blah at like a good school, it's got to be what that's like prepping for something. Like doing exercises if the coach isn't a dick. You're
Mm-hmm.
just you're trying really hard, but you're also with the boys or the girls or the whoever's.
Yeah.
You're wanting to do well, but it's practice. So you're learning stuff, you're experimenting, you're trying shit out. Maybe you're uncovering like a secret maneuver or like a trick play, especially in like a team sport.
Talk
And
about practice. Sorry.
talking about practice, uh, I love how you know that from one thing when it's from another. Like, do you know what that's originally from? So you know that from Ted Lasso, right?
No, I know that also just from the interview.
Okay, sure, sure. It's like there are some people that watch that, they're like, "That's so funny." I'm like, "You do realize that's like a quote, right?" And it's kind of awesome that they were able to actually just like take that and basically change. I think they changed like 4 words, like had one person say different words, and like it just like works. It's so fucking cool. Anyway, sorry for this side. Um, but other than that, I guess the only other like notable thing was that I am now in quotes sponsored. Like a sponsored Magic player. I've got a T-shirt in the mail, or a jersey in the mail rather, and from a local shop here in Los Angeles, Collector Legion, which is fucking awesome. I would highly recommend going to their store if you're ever down here. They run a great shop. It's immaculately amazing. And so now I don't. So my understanding is I don't have to. If I need cards, I can borrow them, and if I'm flying to places, they will pay for the flight. So pretty good timing as I'm going to two places in the next like month and a half. So
Hmm.
great timing. Trying to think. Other than that, not. I mean, like there's some weird stuff going on at school, but that's always the case. But had the funniest call out the other day that I can't quite remember. Walking to my car, and this guy, being LA, there is many a homeless, and this guy's walking down and just shouting at the top of his lungs this like pro homeless stance. He's like, "We're out here, LA homeless, represent," and like going off as is like
What?
if it's like his is like the most wild like, just don't look over there, children, and just like
What the fuck?
it was so wild. It was like it was asking for attention, but like that is certainty of strife to like to gaze in that entity's direction. So I'm just like, man, I want to look. I want to get a full like under like grasp of this visage, but like that is a recipe for pain and disaster.
You don't want him to engage back with you.
No. For those of you that are ever visiting LA, I don't know how it is up in C-Town, but in LA, this is going to sound mean, but for your own safety and well-being, don't look at the homeless. Pretend that they are fucking Medusas. Like, just avert gaze. Don't, like, aggressively do it where, like, it then becomes noticeable that you're doing it. But do your best to not particularly engage or acknowledge them, because that is the easiest way to get interacted with and get, like, consumed and entangled in the occurrence. And you don't want that. From every interaction I've seen, you do not want that. Give them money? Sure. If you got it and you feel, willing, done it a time or two, they're usually appreciative. But just like, if you walk by and somebody's like, "No, do not, do not look in that direction." That is a Gorgon. Do not be entranced.
That's a Gorgon.
Dude, like, I've made the mistake once, and unless, like, luckily there was another homeless who decided to interject and, like, basically start their own kerfuffle. Otherwise, I might have had to catch hands or learn actually how to, like, sprint for the first time in my life. Because shit heaps were coming my direction. It was early on. I was in Los Angeles walking around MacArthur Park, and this person is half naked, rubbing their genitals against a tree and sing dancing, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And they looked at me like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh shit!" And the other person's like, luckily another homeless walked in and was like, "Bitch, what you doing? This is my tree." I was like, "Oh god, good." And he was like, "Boo!" And like hop skipped around about 5 blocks and like hoped that they weren't in pursuit. Luckily they weren't. But yeah, no, just fucking nah.
Just how do it.
It's like looking at a crazy person is like moving near, like, is like running away from a T-Rex. It's like the surefire way to get engaged. Just, nah.
That's funny.
Speaking of
All right.
engaged, what are we engaging our viewers with conversation of our speakings this week?
Oh my god, seamless.
Word salad transitions brought to you by this numbskull. It sounded mostly good in my head, and then I started saying it, I was like,
It sounded okay until you kept talking.
Isaac, 2028.
It sounded okay until you kept talking. So we're going to talk about wonderfully, beautifully driven character watershed moments. Because I was thinking about it in the car, I was like, this would be fun to talk about. I love good character writing. I believe my co-host does as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Um, back me up, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's the tits.
Thank you. Too far. Dial it back a little bit. About
It's
20% less.
It's the butt. Let's
Eh,
smack it.
we'll go with it. And So I thought it'd be fun to do kind of an exploration, like good character moments and why they work and kind of what motivates them if they seem contrary to normal behavior, and what how context leading up to specific moments gives them terrific weight and kind of ability to resonate with their audience. And would you like to start us off, Isaac, or should I?
You're starting us off.
Okay.
It goes top to bottom. We're not. What? There's a. Damn it. There's a language that reads bottom to top, but we're speaking and writing in English, so we go top to bottom. What
Okay.
language is that?
Because we've never done anything out of order ever, I'm sure. Um, alright. So one of the first examples that I really like was from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and one of the more kind of serious topic episodes they have about racism. Um, and the quick TLDR is that Terry gets profiled outside his house and is stopped by a cop for walking.
Wall
And
black.
yeah, so when he goes to submit a complaint and he wants Holt to basically sign off and back him up, Holt says no. And it confuses him because it's like, but it's just so clearly like this guy fucked up. And Holt's argument is that cops who report cops face backlash,
Yep.
and that, the best thing you can do is go to a point where you can affect policy. Because for Holt, that's what he had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't have a superior who would have ever backed him up. So he had to just keep his head down and grind. But Terry sees it another way, and that he got to play the I am a cop card to get out. He said, all I could think about were my daughters, and if this happens to them, they don't have that card to play.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens? He said, so I'm filing this report. And he goes over Holt's head for the first time ever in the show. Because he will defer to Holt, because he trusts Holt, he believes in Holt, and he's worked with them before, so they have history. And he knows that Holt's the real deal. But for the first time ever, he actively defies Holt and says, I'm doing this with or without you. Because the whole show, he has been the family man. He has done what is right for his family. Like, even at the start, him having daughters screws with his head. Because it changes who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that never wavers. Even as much as him being a cop and being, loyal to his squad, that part is willing to be fluid if it push comes to shove against his family.
Yep.
It's so good and it's so out of the ordinary that it's this great kind of heavy set moment to it, because Holt doesn't like fight it either or try to talk him out of it.
No.
He just acknowledges
Yeah,
that he's
when he
right.
doubles down, I think he like commends him, or there's some amount of like congratulations when Jeff, because initially Jeffords comes in and goes, "Hey, I'm gonna do this." He goes, "You shouldn't," and then like he kind of goes away, and then he comes back later and goes, "No, I gotta." And like I don't think it was his like reason for doing it, but I think Holt's like, that's what I wish I had done,
What? So
right?
there's a bit of a resolution at the end where Holt comes around. He says, "I thought about what you've said to me."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I realized I am there, and I am now the officer who has the chance to support his underlings, because I never would have had a superior
Oh,
officer
okay.
who would have my back. But I'm here now, and if I don't help you with this, I will have betrayed everything I've worked for. So I'm filing the report for you. It's like Holt comes around and recognizes that he finally doesn't need to keep living with the mentality of keep your head down. And that he's finally able to be the person he wishes he'd had backing him up.
Mm-hmm. The thing I like about it is, and like I think a lot of these moments is that it's not out of character. It's a character like truly realizing their own like moral stance, right? Like this is Jeffords has always been family man. Like you can see it in like episode 1 or 2 where he like faces the squad head on about like the cars that his wife is getting. He goes, like he's like
I want an
something comes to
SUV.
SUVs.
They
He goes,
roll.
they roll, man. Like it's like he's like always about like in subtle comedic ways, but he's always about his family. And so for this revelation, it's like oh wow, but it's like, yeah, I mean that makes sense, but also still wow.
Yeah,
Just like, I mean, you're gonna see as we go on with our list, the crux
yeah.
of the watershed
It's
moment is not out of character, but it's like the apex of their character.
yeah. It fits perfectly within who they are and who they have been set up to be the entire time. And
While
it's like
still being exemplary.
yes,
Yeah.
and even though the whole show he has deferred to Holt's judgment and backed Holt almost unequivocally, this is one of those few times where he can actively, and like the writers knew this, or at least I hope they knew this.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the few times where Jeffords can actually go against Holt,
Yep.
and it makes perfect sense.
Exactly. No, the writing for the show, for being a just like wacky sitcom that has dumb Jake Peralta bits,
Yeah,
is fucking phenomenal. It's one of those shows like many others that it has no right being as good as it is, and yet
it
it
really
is.
doesn't.
It could have phone. This is like one of those like golden age of TV moments that we're living in, where they made a show that did not need to be this good. It could have just been like hokey, and it would have done just fine. But they said, you
Yeah,
know what? Fuck it. We are doing greatness. We are not doing goodness.
yeah. They do, and the nice thing is they don't abuse somber moments like this,
Mm-mm.
or like the heavy moments like this. Like they never have a moment like this again. Like they don't have a moment where he goes against Holt. They do it once, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not like a reoccurring bit.
No,
They find the moments where it fits and it sticks.
yeah, and they don't overstay their welcome. They're like, hey, we can acknowledge this,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's really good. So it really stands out. I love that moment.
Yep. On to
Alright.
another show that has
No business being
no
as good as
business
it
being
is.
as good as great as it is. Ted Lasso. Mild spoiler alert, but not really.
I feel like this should go. There's a lot of spoilers that are gonna happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of spoilers. I think most of these are. I think only one of these is like an end spoiler. Like most of these happen and they're like good moments, but they're not like show breaking. And this
Sure.
one is by no means show breaking either. So in Ted Lasso, the show starts off, episode 1 ends with you finding out that the reason Ted Lasso has been hired from a triple A American college team to to coach Premier League football in the UK is because the now owner wants to get back at her ex-husband who she got the club from to rub it in his face because his like one big love was the football team.
And she wants to destroy it.
She wants to obliterate everything that was good about it to have him feel the pain and suffering that she has. She wants vengeance. And she's do it. Like, he fucked her over hard. He cheated on her relentlessly for years.
And he's still smug about
And
it.
he's a smug cunt, as they say.
He is just the slimiest bastard.
Amazingly douchey dickhead.
In all the best ways. You love to hate him.
Yeah,
Anyway.
God, he makes it so easy.
Yeah, kudos to the actor. What an asshole.
Yeah. Which is really funny because I think the other places people would know him is from being the mentor in Buffy, where he is the nicest, most reserved, quiet guy.
That's funny.
Yeah, right?
Outstanding.
So, in Ted Lasso, it comes out through a series of odd events. It comes to light to another character that how this has happened. That this is going on. That Rebecca is fucking over Ted and fucking over the whole entire team. And the character, the lovely Keeley, goes, you need to tell him this is bullshit. He's a great man. You know he's a great man. He's only done great things for you. You have to tell him. This is not acceptable.
So
You do it or I
will
will.
tell him or I will.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, fine. And then her like secretary kind of also stands up to her and bounces. And she's had a moment to tell Ted and flubbed it because she feels bad and is anxious about like what is going to happen because he is a good man, but she
And
also has
She's been actively fucking him over.
Yeah.
She deserves the worst. Like
she deserves to get fucked on this one. But it's also I think the best thing about this and the best thing about the series is it's understandable. You understand why she's doing this because you've met this guy and seen what she's had to go through, and it makes sense. It's not forgivable, but it's understandable.
Yeah.
And so when she goes to tell him earlier in the episode, she flubs it and, I'll come back and tell you later. And he leaves. And then she's kind of been putting off, and Dickhead comes back, Cunty McCuntface, walks into her office and just says some really daggering info. And they play this great fucking song as she goes downstairs and she goes into his office and is finally broken enough where she's like, I don't care if, I come. Apologies. One moment, please.
Keep it together, man.
Didn't have enough coffee in my throat. She goes downstairs to tell him. They use this great blues song. And she goes into his office and he goes, "Oh, hi again, boss." And he goes, "I've got something to tell you." And he goes, "Oh, deja vu." And she goes, "I'm a fucking bitch." He goes, "Nope, that's new." It's like so emblematic of the show, that English humor and that American like hopefulness and cheeriness is it's such a great blend. And she's like, "Yeah, I fucked you over," and she tells him the whole entire thing, and he stands up, and then just does the most Ted Lasso fucking thing and goes, "I forgive you," and she's like, "What?"
What?
He goes, "Divorce is fucking hard and makes you do batshit bullshit stuff."
That's why I'm in England.
Yeah, he goes, "Look at me. I'm
football.
in England coaching football," which is also just so. Is my favorite thing about the show. Is Ted Lasso is so like chipper and ha da ba da, but he's not an idiot.
Yeah,
it's a conscious choice for him to be that whimsically positive and choose to look on the bright side of life even if things are shit, because that's the way he chooses to live, which is so nice because that is like. It's such a great reminder for me, who is such a cynic so much in my life, that like you can have it be both ways. You can be smart, see the problem, and choose to be, happy, or choose to look out on the good things in life.
The other thing I really like about his response too is that it's never acknowledged at the start of the show. Like it's sort of nudged at. Mm-hmm. It's kind of talked about how he goes to England to give his wife's space. But it doesn't really just say in black and white that like divorce makes you do dumb shit. But when he says it, it's like, oh, that makes so much sense. He is so out of his depth.
Yeah.
Like of course he can resonate. Like of course it makes sense.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like in an atypical, and there's nothing wrong with this, but in an atypical TV show, you would write it that the character would be having these moments where it'd be like, huh, and you would see that. And he keeps it not necessarily bottled up, but definitely kind of close to the vest.
You do see it bleed through once.
Yeah, you do see it bleed through when he has to like sign the papers with like the whole Nate interaction. And like it does show at time to time. It's not like completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's not bulletproof.
He's not bulletproof, and it shows in the right amounts for this to be realistic and also for this moment to be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
perfect. He's just set up so perfectly to get it.
Speaking
of, no one else in the show would get it. Like Keeley couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, but he can.
Speaking of setting up perfectly, what you got next on the list, Broskinkowski?
Everyone is a sucker for good moments of martyrdom.
Goddamn right.
Goddamn right. And I think one of my favorite is, I love the way that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood ends, because we're not going to talk about the Americanized bastardized shit. That ends like garbage.
It ends bad. The show was fine, though.
It ends bad. The show is okay. Its ending just fucking trips and falls down a flight of stairs. However, it's like a slinky. Anyway, Brotherhood, however, ends in phenomenal fashion, with great visual spectacle and nonsense to watch unfold. But I think one of the best moments is one of the quietest, because the whole show is predicated on the two brothers trying to figure out how they can possibly get back Alphonse's body. Because he's just a fucking soul in a suit of armor. And even though like most of the show is not dedicated to doing it, that is always something that is repeated, reiterated, and reinforced, is that they want him back. Yep. They want his body back. He's tired of existing as this soulless, lifeless suit of armor, in a way. Like he's got moments where he's just like, I want to fucking eat again.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
want to touch something again.
Yeah.
Like, uh, you know, reasonable things for a fucking 15-year-old to want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end, Alphonse gives up. Because like Edward is going to die because he lost his mechanical arm and leg, and so he goes okay, and locks himself. Basically, gives up his spirit to give back his brother's limbs, so he can fight.
Yep.
Which is heart wrenching in its own way, like brotherly sacrifice. But like Edward is not content with that, and gives up the biggest, most unique, novel tool that he's devoted his life studying to get his brother back because it matters.
Yep.
Because that is what it's all been for, and that's the cost, and he knows it.
First
And
and
just
foremost, he's been a brother.
yes, he is brother first, alchemist second, and he like bellies up to that bar because he's had that compromise where he's needed alchemy to do stuff, and they've been trying to solve it with alchemy, but they can't. It doesn't work, and so that's the cost, and he pays it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
And like even the kind of thing that runs alchemy, like the kind of god that sits in the void, tries to like bargain with him and like basically trick him out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nope, not doing it.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Give me
Nope.
my brother back. And
Yeah.
it's like, you win. Later. And so he finally gets his brother back and just uncompromisingly goes, no, I'm here for my brother. Like it's just so I don't know, it's so wonderfully I don't know, wholesome in a way.
Yeah.
It's just that
It's
has
sweet.
never wavered.
Yeah.
Like because it kind of echoes like at the start of the show when he's getting an arm installed and he's like refusing to take painkillers for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, because it feels worse for him, so I want to feel this. Just like Jesus Christ, that's fucking metal as hell. Um,
Would you say it's even
full
metal as hell?
Yes.
Eh, eh,
Thanks, Hagane.
eh.
Yeah, I just you ruin everything. You ruin
Yay!
everything
What are
you
brothers
touch.
for? Speaking of ruining things, next on the list we have everybody's favorite lawyer, Slippin' Jimmy Saul Goodman.
A criminal lawyer.
Yes. You don't need a criminal lawyer, you need a criminal
Criminal lawyer.
So, Better Call Saul and, of course, Breaking Bad, two phenomenal shows written by and produced by the incomparable Vince Gilligan, showcasing the fantastic Saul Goodman. And I think it's season 2? Is it 1 or 2 when this
It's
happens?
two.
2?
Two or three.
I want to say it's 2.
I think it's two.
So there's this episode where Saul's bae has gotten this contract, and she's worked her ass off to get it. Where, like, on her own,
Yeah.
is she part of the firm, or is she kind of doing her own thing at that point?
No, at that point she is independent.
Yeah, she's independent. She's past the bar. She's a lawyer now. She's working on her own. She's working her ass off, doing everything right, checking all the boxes, being a good girl. She is just the best. She's such a fucking awesome character. I love her. And she gets this contract that's a bit bigger than she can reasonably handle.
Yeah.
But she does it. She does all the necessary work. She goes above and beyond. She's fucking there. She's fucking doing it. And you're like, yes! Finally, this great character gets what they deserve. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And then through old bosses and her not willing to kind of, her being a little bit meek. She's not that meek, but she's unjust enough that this contract gets pilfered away from her by her old boss and by Jimmy's older brother.
Yeah, because they've got the manpower,
They've
and
got
you
the
know
manpower,
it'll be
they've-
easier for them to manage, and they want to
Yeah,
make sure
there's
it's
a lot
done
of
right.
excuses of why they get to give her nothing and they get everything.
Yep.
And she doesn't have the wherewithal or the, like, in reality, the might to be like, no, I could take care of this. In reality, they are technically the better choice. But
they are the safer choice.
They are the safer choice. There we go. That's a better word. They are the safer choice, and so she kind of abdicates, which is a little bit on her, but also the circumstance. She'd be basically lying, which she's not comfortable doing, to say that she is a better choice for them than that. But they give her basically nothing, and they'd steal this away from her. Saul Goodman ain't had that shit.
Nope.
So Saul goes and does the Saul thing of taking care of the people he loves and the people he, feels kinship towards, whether it be his customers, his people, or his beau, and goes to his brother's house while he's sleeping, takes the paperwork, goes and changes it so that he'll look bad in court and that they will revert to working with I just spaced on her name. Help.
Kim.
Thank you. And it's the most nefarious genius stuff. He takes the work, he prints it, he cuts it out, he resets the type, does whiteout, and prints it.
He changes the address by 2 numbers, so it is the wrong address.
Yeah. So that it gets thrown out in court or not accepted.
It can't be ratified by the judge.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sends his brother on a spiral. It's 1642, the year the Magna Carta was signed. Just goes off. So fucking great.
It is exceptional.
Yeah,
it's the meltdown his brother has.
But it's such a genius, great ploy that's it's not too highfalutin to be unbelievable, but it's not too lowbrow that it would be of course nobody would fall for this. It's the perfect crime. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it. And it's just so emblematic, especially moving forward. You see it just constantly again and again in his character, where he's willing to just do these things for what he believes is right. Sometimes it's right for him. Sometimes it's right for the people that he's defending or whatever. But he finds a way, like a fucking mouse in the like a roach in the apocalypse, finds a way to just do what he needs to get done. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. He's slimy in the best ways. God, I also love that people know, Kim knows he fucking did it. She just punches him in a car. She's God damn it. Just so angry.
So great.
It's so good.
Speaking of things that are so great and so good, what you got up next, my friend?
Again, it's not a show if I don't talk about Avatar at least once.
We lose our license.
Yeah. They'll come for my license. I think one of the best moments in the show is when Zuko finally stands up to Ozai. And it takes a full fucking 2.5 seasons to build.
50-something episodes.
Yeah,
fucking ever.
It's a lot of lead time.
Yeah.
But you get so much weight to go with it, and so much established thought of Zuko does things on his own. He struggles. Zuko's emblematic, for better or worse, his quality is that he struggles.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't fucking quit. That dude is the Energizer Bunny.
Sadly, does it on his own too frequently.
Yeah, and he learns eventually how to accept help from people. Again, from Iroh just slowly chipping away at him. And learns that he doesn't have to do everything on his own. But his emblematic thing is that he struggles and he works his ass off.
Yeah.
He is not exceptional.
No.
But he will put forward more effort. So he does
gets
it on his
given
own.
very little in life other than a fucking burn on his face by his dad.
Yeah, he is shafted in so many ways. But he fucking does not quit. He gets back up, he gets hit again, he gets back up, he gets hit again. And I feel that comes to when he finally stands up to Ozai. Because he's still doing it on his own. He's just no longer doing someone else's direction.
Mm-hmm.
He's finally standing up for himself instead of what he thinks he should want. It's what he actually wants. No one prompts him to do it. The whole start of the show, he's told to go find the Avatar. He's told how to be this way. He's told how the prince is supposed to act. He's told that he's supposed to be a great warrior, etc., etc., etc. No one tells him to leave.
Yep.
He does it for himself. He does it on his own. Does his own volition. He's his own man. But he comes to the conclusion, and he's finally doing it without Iroh in one ear as well. And so, and he's even willing to just back up his own justifications when Ozai laughs because your uncle's gotten to you, hasn't he? He goes, yeah, he has. It's like not ashamed of
Yeah,
being
he's not
different.
like, ah, damn it. He's like, yes.
Yeah, just he finally realizes that it's okay to be different, and he's still being himself. He is still fundamentally the prince that will struggle and fight through everything to move forward. It's so great. It's like the biggest happy making moment in the show. Just like he's finally free. That's my boy. That's my son. Anyway. You're welcome.
That was great. So next up on the list, we have arguably the biggest spoiler alert on here for Fight Club. If you know it, then obviously you stick around. If you want to watch the movie, which I would highly recommend,
Great.
pause this and go watch the movie. Skip forward until
Skip had about 7 minutes. I don't know.
yeah, skip forward. Yeah, 7 sounds about right. I'll try to make it 7. Okay, so in Fight Club, as those of you who don't know or do know, and don't care about getting spoiled, the main character, labeled only as narrator, which is genius, is actually has multiple personality disorder, which is represented by another person. So Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt, and narrator played by Ed Norton are technically the same person.
Yep.
And in the ending, this is finally revealed, and it fucking blew most people's brains out, as it should. It's fucking done amazingly.
It's a magnificent twist.
Yes. So good. Wish I didn't have it spoiled by my own TNT watching experience, but say levy. In the very end, he finally acknowledges that he is both people, takes ownership of that because he's been running from it. One, he hasn't known up until like the last quarter of the movie. And
Yeah,
even then, he's
20
like
minutes.
not really about it. He's kind of running from it, trying to deal with it in a different way as opposed to accepting that he has this issue, that he has this problem, that this thing has happened.
Yeah.
And the last minutes of the movie, he finally accepts it, that Tyler's him, and gains control of the circumstance. And in doing so, is able to kind of metaphorically get rid of the other personality by taking this emblematic step and shooting himself in the cheek with a revolver. Because, duh. And gaining back his sanity, gaining back control of his person and his circumstance. To then hold hands with the weird psycho girlfriend he's found as the fucking banks in like downtown LA. I think it's supposed to be blow up. Or New York. It's LA or New York. I think it's supposed to be New York, actually.
I think it's New York.
Yeah, because they go on like subways and stuff like that, and they don't have this out here. I would say New York. Anyway, major city, as they blow up the banks.
Listen to the one good song by the Pixies.
Yeah, also that. Although there is Gigantic, which is my favorite song by the Pixies, but that's not for the song's reasons. It's because Apple's an idiot. For those of you that don't know, Apple, when releasing one of their products, paid to use the song Gigantic by the Pixies to showcase their product. It was a week or so of its existence before somebody went, "You guys know what that song's about, right?" Like the execs were like, "Yeah, it's about big stuff." They're like, "Specifically big black dicks." They're like, "What?" And they just cut one of the lyrics out, and it's very obvious. It's not like, no, big black cock. And they're like, "Whoops!" And they pulled it. You can still find it on YouTube, which I love. They're just like, "That's a good one. The kids will love it." Like, all right.
Oh, well, yes, but
Out of touch.
outstanding.
Outstanding. Anything to say with our extra 4 minutes about narrator Tyler Durden's circumstance, Broskinkowski?
I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it's an interesting kind of like metaphor in a lot of ways for like mental health
metaphor
issues.
in writing? Why
I know,
never?
crazy. I have no idea if it's intentional or just kind of an incidental thing you can read into, but it's like the idea that like running from disorder is fruitless. You know, does nothing. And it's like no
Mm.
matter how much he either
Accepting yourself over.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to fight himself and gets his fucking ass beaten.
It's the most awesome
Yeah,
thing
it is
ever.
the most wonderfully lopsided, single
Ass
dimension
whooping.
fight
Yeah.
ever. Phenomenal. Um, and you could argue there's a metaphor there about like being beaten by something you can't see.
Yeah.
Wonderful illusion. Um, and that like the only way to be in control and really be a coherent person is to you gotta own it to a degree.
Hmm.
Like you have to. You can't
It won't go
just.
away if you
Yeah,
pretend like
it
it
will
doesn't
not go
exist.
away, no matter how much you run from it. Like even when he tries to run from it, Tyler just keeps popping up in front of him. He tries to fight him, and Tyler beats his ass. The only time he's in control is when he just says, "Yeah, but if I'm you, I have the gun."
Yeah.
It's like the slow, quiet acknowledgement, like I can do this too.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I like that illusion for mental health struggles and disorders in
Yeah.
general. Like, right, granted, that's the dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder, as it used to be called, is a whole fucking crazy kettle of fish. So it's see a therapist, but um, it's a very interesting. There's a lot of like metaphoric slants that I wonder if when it was written, if it was intentional at all.
Hmm. I hope
Because I
so.
was, yeah, I mean, it
Chuck
make
Palahniuk is pretty fucking good, and David Fincher is a beast. So I'm
yeah, but I
fingers
mean,
crossed.
this was also written before like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff about mental health disorder was very very highlighted.
Yeah.
Because it was made in what fucking like '98 or some shit.
Yeah. It was written even earlier, but it like they made the turnaround for the movie to coming out was pretty fast. Like apparently Fincher with his own money bought the rights to the book for
Mm.
making it a movie. Like a friend of his like read it and goes, "You're gonna want to read this." Reads this and goes, "We're buying this now." And like went to the studios. If you don't, we will. And I don't know who did, but they got it a fucking sap.
It was '99
'99 is
that came out.
when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, still, that's fucking 20. That's 24 years ago. Ugh. Um, hate that, but
Oh my god, we're old.
yeah, it's weird to think I came out when I was 6. Um, anyway, but yeah, so I do wonder how much that was intentional or not, especially since again, almost 25 years ago, the talk about mental health and the acknowledgement of mental health was very different.
Hmm.
That kind of landscape has evolved dramatically in the last couple of decades. So,
You know what else has evolved dramatically? Science. I don't fucking know.
okay.
Anyway, on to your next one, as we have exactly come up on the 7 minute marker.
That's perfect. Nailed it. 10 out of 10. Um, so this one, major spoilers for the third book of the Stormlight Archives, the Oathbringer. So, one of the prime characters of this book is a guy named Dalinar, who's also nicknamed the Blackthorn, or Dalinar Colin. There we go. He is a fucking warlord, or at least he was. He is a fucking animal. Like they're basically in this book. There is no greater murder machine than this man used to be. He broke places, basically single-handedly, and but there's a really weird quirk that he doesn't remember his wife.
Well,
Not like he doesn't remember her. Like it's been removed from his memory.
sheesh.
So what you learn is that he was, for a while, he was a fucking alcoholic. Like, this man, when he was not at war, he spent a lot of time in a bottle. And the reason for it is he incidentally killed his wife.
You know,
Yeah, he basically ordered a town to be burned, and she thought it was, like, crazy. So she went to go warn people.
oh no.
She got caught up in the incidental damage. She basically became collateral.
Ugh.
Yeah, so it broke him. And
Yeah.
so he went to go see this like spirit to basically forget it. And so he does for a long time. And so he just has this weird void in his memory, and then it all comes rushing back. And the memory that he fucked up. He killed his wife. Whether he meant to or not, she's dead because of him.
Yeah.
And there is no one else to assert the blame to. So when this memory fucking comes surging back into his brain, he fucking dives back into the bottle. Like, it breaks him again. And so he goes back to his old coping mechanism, and he's basically just like doing drugs and drinking to try and numb himself out. And then realizes that the world is moving on without him, and he can't just keep doing that because he's trying to advocate being a better person, and he's supposed to be emblematic of basically the old god of morality named Honor.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, fuck. Okay. I can pull this back. And so, he's effectively re-triggered by feeling what's called the thrill, which was this crazy kind of bloodlust state that would affect the Alethi, or the people. And it's why he was such an amazing warlord, is because he used to lean into it. And that's why he was basically a one-man army. And so every time he feels it now, he feels ill. He feels sick. Like, it is like he's allergic to it.
Hmm.
But he finally gets a hold of himself. Okay, I gotta be fucking king again. I gotta do my job. Picks himself up. So at the end of the book, he is confronted by the big bad, who is basically the god of emotion, named Odium. And so he challenges Odium and says, "Bring us your fucking champion." And he goes, "It's you." And basically, Odium makes him a deal. He says, "I will take away all of the pain that came from killing your wife. I will take away all of the sting, all the remorse, all the regret, if you give it to me.
Hmm.
I will make it painless, guiltless, and quiet. All you have to do is say the word." So basically, you sign your soul to me,
Yeah.
I make it easy. And people think he's going to.
Yeah, I would.
There-
Hearing this, I'd be like, yeah, did anyone got a pen?
And so it's made worse because he feels the thrill, because the thrill is an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, they're in a battlefield, and the thrill's job is to wage war. And nobody knows war quite like Dalinar does. So it's all of his past just sitting around him, and Odium is offering him the way out. He says, "No. It's mine. You can't take it."
Oh.
And to which Odium basically goes, "I'm sorry, what?" He goes, "It's my pain. I did it. It's my responsibility." And so Odium flips the fuck out, because this is not how he saw this going down. And shit explodes. And Dalinar knows he has one more job to do. And so he goes to find the source of the thrill, which is this big spren. Spren they're basically elementals that are for emotion. They're not evil. They're not sighted, if you will. And the thrill's job is violence. That is its purpose. And so it is actually excited to see him, because it's like, ooh, Dalinar, my guy, my man.
My dude!
Yeah, because it knows him, and he knows it very intimately. Like, they are very familiar with one another. And so he walks into, it's basically this big red churning cloud. And he walks in with this gem that he's going to lock it into.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been told the way you capture a spren is you give it what it likes most, and you lure it in.
Sure.
And nobody knows war quite like the best warlord of history.
Yeah.
And so he goes, and so he can acknowledge, says, "Thank you for giving me the strength to fight. And now it's time for you to sleep."
Awesome.
Then he locks it in.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, but yeah,
My emotions!
yeah, but just, it builds so long. And there's
Yeah.
even somebody on the side who can see potential futures
Mm-hmm.
and he sees that Dalinar is going to break. And then Dalinar just doesn't. Because Odium expects the same thing. He's like, I've been playing the long con for years.
Got him.
I've been watching you, buddy. I am a god. I see everything. I pretty much know everything. This'll break you. I just know it won't. It's like, damn. Yeah, it's yeah, that one. I had to set the book down when I read that. There's a couple chapters like, oh my god, that's absolutely phenomenal. Like Sanderson does such good character work.
Yeah.
What do we got last on the agenda?
Go fuck yourself, Jason Kahee. Sorry. You brought up Sanderson. I wanted to fucking publicly ridicule on our tiny podium that fucking asshat of a writer who wrote that shit piece on him.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, fuck him.
Fuck him.
That's what you get for writing that. I hope you never get another job for being such a fucking colossal asshole. On the opposite end of the spectrum, or maybe depending upon how you want to look at who we're talking about, speaking of colossal assholes, the last one up is, what would us be talking about characters and me not bringing up Berserk? We have Guts. Guts is, I think, one of my favorite characters of all time, and you talked about struggling earlier with Zuko, and if you want to look for somebody who struggles, look no further than, like, the Japanese manga, like, personification of Job. Guts struggles through every known horrific experience that you can, like, reasonably put into your brain, and unreasonably for that matter.
He's born out of a corpse. Let's just set
Born
the stage.
out of a corpse, raped, betrayed, has his girlfriend raped in front of him by his best friend.
Child soldier.
Yeah. Does it all, baby. Gets his arm taken off, gets his eye taken away, just like, it's all bad. Is effectively inflicted with something that summons evil out of nothing, so he can be around no one. But, before a lot of this bad happens, but after plenty of it does, he finds a brother, a captain, a king in Griffith.
Yeah.
Works by him tirelessly, is his number one go-to guy.
Yeah.
Trusts him, they love each other, and realizes after hearing a speech that he probably wasn't supposed to hear, that he is not, as he had initially thought, Griffith's equal. He is not Griffith's friend. He is Griffith's right-hand man, but very much, I don't want to say
underling.
stooge, but yeah, underling. He works for him. And Guts wants to ascend to the level of his best friend. Which in this story means he has to leave him. He has to leave his friends. He has to leave this family he has made. And it is not without arduous thought and, regret as he tries to do it in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping. Ends up not working out that way. But I can't think of a bigger watershed moment to me and my reading experience than that of somebody who makes, I don't want to say the ultimate sacrifice, but makes a huge sacrifice so that he can be a friend again to someone.
Yeah. He's going to make Guts uproots his life. Like he has a good life with the Band of the Hawk. Like they're getting fucking paid. He's got people he can trust, which is a very new sensation.
Yeah. Ladies being lauded at his feet. Granted,
yeah, like,
he doesn't particularly want them, but
yeah, he's got issues, but whatever.
He's got to go swing a sword up and down 1,000 times.
1,000 times. He's got to just he's got to get more yoked. I guess.
He's got to be ready for Zod round 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's that important to him.
Yeah. Self-betterment.
Yeah. Even though it has some interesting complications.
Yeah, the ramifications of this very good character moment, of course, punish him because go fuck yourself, the struggler.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, it really
is
just that.
The problem is that fundamentally, Griffith does not appreciate what his words will bring about.
Yeah. Well,
Because
also
he,
it wasn't intentionally like he didn't realize he was being heard either.
well, he's just wrong.
Well, yeah.
Griffith is just wrong.
Yeah.
Like he thinks that's how he operates. He does not.
Yeah.
Because the second Guts leaves, he is fucking debased.
Yeah.
Like that man goes out looking for pussy because he doesn't want to feel. Like that's
Yeah.
he might as well have just jumped into a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he just goes and clings to his next biggest sycophant because he needs that validation.
Yep.
It's like Griffith
Turns
should
out the
have stopped for a
megalomaniac
moment.
can't handle losing once.
Yeah, like, and I love the duel between them again. It's just
Oh,
how
it's busted.
yeah, just how different it is too from the first time.
Yeah. It's a great showcase, like one of those full circle moments. It shows one of the best things is it shows in not too much detail, which occasionally anime and manga has a problem of doing, of next leveling someone. It doesn't do this like weird like five, oh I knew, so you knew, so I knew. It's like he's gonna do this, okay, I'll just do this. It's like I know you're gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, and just boom.
Yeah, and it's like
You've been
Guts is no
practicing
longer
politics. I've been
impatient.
practicing swinging this motherfucker. Let's
Yeah.
dance.
And Guts is just he's no longer impatient and
Yeah.
strong-headed. Like
Now, he doesn't
he's
rush in.
cool. He's
Yeah.
collected. He's not emotional anymore. And this time Griffith is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Griffith is also going on. He's going on a good strat, but it's just like he got next leveled by the goat.
Yeah, and just like he's been playing politics, and this has just been playing warrior the whole time.
Yes, exactly. Well, that is the end of that's our watershed wrap up, as it were. So enjoy this hilariously and definitely well paid commercial break.
Ever wondered, man, how bad can things really get in society and still be, yeah, fairly functional? I mean, if you've been there on your bad days, I recommend you indulge that sense of misery and desire for absolute suffering that comes from dystopian settings. Instead of simply hearing about economic inequalities, you can watch it play out on screen and, really pretend that that isn't you and your boss and your boss's boss or those people in Congress. You can look at things like Mad Max and Desertification and go, man, isn't this fun to watch play out and think about the crazy desert storms, bandits and raiders. Because we're never gonna get there. We can adjust our trajectory. We can fix our problems. Right? Right, guys? Welcome back, everybody. I don't know why I talked like Mr. Apple there.
I was gonna say, it's
like Mr.
and
Macintosh.
and
There
now,
we go.
Tex, we have these. Like, can you
Up
imagine
next.
how much less appreciated freaking oh, what was that poor man that was stuck fuck Hawking would be if he had that as the voice. Now theoretical physics.
Ah, yes. Anyway, what have you been writing?
So
Working on, cooking up?
yeah, I've been taking a writing break because prepping for this here magical event, hopefully. And the other day when driving to work, it hit me. This story from start to scratch hit me.
Yep.
So I'm calling it contract. So rough bullet points are I don't know if samurai or knight serving his local liege of whatever sort and is family man, has a wife, at least maybe a kid, definitely a wife, and works for good king guy doing kill stuff, but not like it's a good guy. He's not killing random peasants, he's killing baddies,
Sure.
keeping the law of the land. And I don't quite know how this next bit happens, but he ends up. I don't know if he is away on a mission and comes back or what has it, but his boss gets killed by he's not sure who.
Mm.
And his boss on his like bleeding out goes, "You've been such a good soldier. I want you to have this." And he gives him this box. Inside is a fae or some genie or some shit like that. And it grants him a wish. And he goes, "I want to be the best soldier that ever lived, or the best bodyguard, or, pick term." The Fae doesn't quite understand what he means, asks him about it, either asks him about it or goes off of what they know a good bodyguard is or a good soldier is. And they give them this power. The power is that they fulfill every contract they are given to the letter. They don't know this. Moving forward, they end up kind of Ronin, merc for hire, work for some people, and they are crushing it. Then they get picked up by this guy who seems a little shady, but offers them a good deal or is looking to do something good. And they asks him to swear fealty. He doesn't fully understand the power yet. And he goes, "Okay, sure." Like the deal he's going to get given and stuff like that. A fool to not take it, so he takes it, not knowing that he is now effectively bound in permanence to not do this thing. Turns out the guy that does this was the guy who killed his old boss and was looking for the Fae and knew about it and has figured out that that's the power he has. So now he doesn't have the Fae because the Fae has been released from its, bondage and is out in the world or out in the spirit realm or whatever. But he does have this perfect soldier. And so he starts sending him around to do shit. And initially it's stuff that he's whatever about, and then it's stuff that he doesn't like, but literally realizes he can't stop. He has to do the thing. Ends up turning him on his own wife because his wife starts to meddle and try to be nice and try to figure out ways around and help him out of this contract or do something. She plays a role in attempting to save her husband.
Yeah.
Guy doesn't like this meddling, has him kill his wife. Says it directly because he realizes the guy can't. And he's sworn allegiance, which means he can't hurt him. Goes, kills his wife. On her death, asks to give him a contract. Gives him a contract that, moving forward, he has the ability to say no to contracts. So he can pass on them. Because before, given a contract and accepting it, or when given a contract, he has to accept it. Or something equivalence thereof. I don't quite know how that one's typified yet. But gives him a workaround, not for the contract that he's in, but for the contracts moving forward.
Yeah.
He goes back and is just heated. And the guy's like, "Can't kill me." He goes, "That's right. Can't kill you. However," basically to quote Batman, "don't have to save you either." And sets up this circumstance where he basically, the warlord guy, says too much and pisses off a bunch of other people in his kind of sanctum or realm or whatever like that. And then I think maybe one of the ways to get around it, because the guy is smart, but his account, stuck in this agreement, is he plugs his ears or something like that and walks away from him. So he doesn't have to save him and lets the guy die.
Just plugs his ears la la la.
Yeah, he just walks off and la 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 as they just fucking hack him to bits and he gets out of the contract. One of the other things that being the perfect soldier makes you is immortal. Cut to 1,000 years later into current times, or 2,000 years later to current times, and he's just alive. Occasionally working contracts, but mostly just this morose, immortal, perfect warrior. Very much cagey about contexts he chooses and stuff like that. Ends up getting this new kind of younger neighbor who's a sweet girl or a sweet guy, doesn't really matter, an innocent.
Yeah.
And starts to care for them, starts to build a relationship after all these years. And then some lascivious lawyer figures out who he is and tries to fuck with them and uses them as bait or something like that.
Hmm.
Gets involved, ends up defeating them through interesting circumstances. I don't know how. Basically, like, makes sure to read the bylines, gets involved maybe with the lawyer in some bad way, but ends up finding a way out. The way the movie and or series ends is saves the girl, lawyer dies, can't have enough of those. And, you know, I don't think the other person dies, but they've been maybe wounded or they're definitely scarred from this. And they're like, I feel like I owe you a debt. And he goes, there's nothing you can give me that I'd want. And in talking earlier, it became clear what he did want. And the innocent goes, I want you to sleep forever and have the most vivid dream where you're with your wife again. And so he finally gets rest. He finally gets to effectively die
Hmm.
after a millennia. Happy story, ain't it?
It's just delightful. Oh, that's sobering. Jesus.
Top that, sucker.
I no. Um,
What do you have in the...
so I've been cooking up the best right-hand man you can get.
Nice.
And sort of pseudo fall guy. So if so eventually when I'm start putting out in earnest,
Mm-hmm.
the main antagonist of Warlords is going to be basically a corrupt CEO who sees nothing as sacred.
What? Those
Crazy.
don't exist in real life.
What a thought. Effectively Lex Luthor. There's a lot of through lines, just not as bald. However, she needs a good right hand man. Who can basically get dirty with no face to lose. Because the downside about being a public figure and existing with tons of money and influence is that people know who you are. So you need
Sure.
somebody who off the books can do the nasty shit that you can't yet.
Mm-hmm.
So enter Maximilian, who's going to be her right hand man, and for a while posing as the guy running the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Because she needs somebody who can basically do the day to day and carry out her vision, and he knows that she's crazy enough to do it, and that she has enough influence, money, and power to make it happen. She just needs the right person helping push the knife effectively. So there's kind of a mutual understanding between him and Ambition that he is her go-getter. That his place is kind of in the background as far as like public is concerned. He doesn't exist. He is not supposed to have fame, glory, and accolades. He is the fucking dirty guy in the trenches,
Sure.
and he knows it. And I managed to write a small intro because I was like, this seems interesting, and it didn't go the way I thought it was going to. Where he gets a chance to find her, like at a kind of corporate meet and greet for her company, where she scares off everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like the one guy who's the balls to just stand and like say hi,
Yeah.
because everyone else is terrified of her, with good reason. Think Cruella de Vil. No one wants to talk to that crazy witch.
Yep.
He says, like, we are shackled to mediocrity, whereas we have literal fucking superhumans casually walking around, and it's garbage. It's like, and I think you want to fix that. And she goes, yeah, but why would I tell you? Because you need someone to do it for you right now.
Hmm.
And so he is going to be that somebody. And
He's gonna be that someone.
He gonna be a problem. Yeah, because he has no problem doing horrible shit like kidnapping, no problem.
Gotcha,
Killing people, drop of a hat. Let's bomb a building. Fuck it. Like he is ruthless. And he knows it. And that's what he does best. He just knows that he isn't the best person for direction. he
Mm,
can just act upon someone else's.
yeah. He is aware of his
His
not
limitation.
I was gonna say tool like qualities, but that has a different meaning to most people. But his utilitarian
Yeah.
applications,
He
but not his directions.
yeah, he knows that he doesn't have the big picture she does, but he knows she can't
Yeah.
be bloodthirsty like he can.
Yep. Let's help each other out here.
Yeah. It just he wants the same thing she does. They're just the two parts of getting it done.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Have you
Awesome.
been watching anything or reading
So
anything you'd recommend?
we had
Or
thought
not?
we had thought for a while that to do a Velma review, and then we both tried to watch it. I somehow got through the whole entire fucking first episode,
I did
despite
not.
hating basically every frame of that fucking hunk of shit. And you weren't able to make it through even the first half of the episode. It
No,
sounds
I
like.
made it 10 minutes. That was enough.
Yeah, agree. You smartly bailed. I gritted my teeth, much to my dentist's dismay. Um, the show fucking sucks. Don't watch it. It's a piece of crap.
It's heinous. It's
So
insulting.
bad. It's just garbage.
It's not just bad. It's genuinely insulting.
Yeah. The
Like
fact that people had like people that are good worked on this, I feel sorrow because it's just schlock. The people
it,
that made it should feel like pieces of shit for like because it's just
I hope
Scooby Doo
everyone
franchise is a lovely gem from like the 80s and 90s. It is sweet, it is basic. Is it mostly white people? Yes, it is a product of its time. Could it have been rebooted with pick a fucking rainbow coalition of sexual representation, gender representation, and like ethnic representation? Absolutely.
absolutely.
There is nothing wrong with that. But to do that and then just make it like
It
repulsive, not
it
have Scooby Doo, and just have the storyline equivalent of a shit sandwich.
and it's so rife with these quote unquote jokes that are just jabs at anybody who had the audacity to like Scooby Doo or any
They're
adult
just
that likes
decent
cartoons
people.
or or just I don't know, you happen to be watching. Fuck you. Like
Yeah.
it genuinely it goes out of its way to rag on its own writing and to discredit the audience watching it.
Yeah,
It blows my mind. Like
it's just fucking garbage.
I mean occasionally listen, I'm all for a good fourth wall jab.
Yeah.
Like I think one of my favorite, and it's this is a bit of a deep cut, but there's a YouTube show I like called Hell of a Boss,
Okay.
and so one of the characters is like effectively a werewolf.
Don't
The
know
internet
that.
had a field day with Rule 34,
Oh yeah.
and so like one of the episodes they say like you can't go up to like the human world. You don't know what they'll do to you, and every character looks at the camera and it just like slow zooms in silence. Like, we know you fucking freaks. Like, and
You
they just
kinky
go on.
motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're just like animals. Anyway, and then just like proceeds as normal, like nothing happened. I'm all for shit like that.
That's
and
fucking
just
hilarious.
yeah, it's hilarious. But do it once, and it isn't consistent. It isn't
It's
perpetual.
not even the consistency. This show could do it that much if it wasn't being a fucking asshole. Like it's just being mean. Like this show is written by the person that in high school was like, "Your mom's a whore." Just kidding. It's like, "You're an asshole." Not kidding. Like that's all this show is over and over and over again. Like, woo, greenlit this. Don't give them money.
I don't
So
know who
bad.
I don't know who greenlit this. Who greenlit it? I don't know who really wrote it. I hope they're under a pseudonym. Like,
I
'cause
hope whoever greenlit this, I find in the crosswalk when the light turns green, so I can accidentally drive too fast.
yeah,
Speaking of things that suck and piss me off because the characters are irredeemable and I can't like them, which is another big problem with that show, is all the characters are fucking
they're
garbage.
garbage. They're bad.
Baytown Outlaws is a mediocre movie. It came out a while ago, so it's got a little bit of like historical printing armor, I guess I would say. It came out like the early 2000s or something like that. It's we're the bad guys, but we're better. the good guys are great characters and the bad guys are worse. Got it. However, the characters are just unlikable. Like, so it follows these three brothers that are mercs, guns for hire, rednecks.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm here for that. I love me some ultra violence. Let's go. Only problem is they're racist, they're homophobic, they're sexist, and in a way that isn't in any way understandable, redeemable, or at any point. There's no like good character to like follow. They're all kind of annoying or stupid, and it's just like constant and just ugly.
Yeah.
And it's just like when you're rooting for Billy Bob Thornton, who's the villain, because at least he's eloquent and talks in a way that's mildly redeemable in a like cinematic sense, you fucked yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, Billy Bob's great at acting, but when your bad guy is more likable than your good guys, like by like a lot, and he like threatens his workers because they want a pay raise, and you're like, yeah, I still like that guy more than our good guys because these guys are just like, ugh.
Just the worst.
The only thing I'll give it over Velma is it's a product of its time. It's 15 years old. Shit was different then. We've evolved and grown. So it's just unwatchable now. I'm glad I didn't watch it then, because if I liked it then, maybe I'd still kind of like it now and then feel worse.
Yeah.
So, things that are a product of their time, but still knew how to write a character that is reprehensible in a way that was likable, is Way of the Gun. I've referenced this, I believe, at least once in this show, talking about the realism that they showed in gunfighting, because they do a great job at it. Yeah. Characters miss a lot, because that's how shit works in real life. Not everybody's a fucking sniper or Cassidy from fucking Overwatch. It's not high noon. You can't have perfect aim indefinitely.
You're not a Korean kid on a near lethal dose of Adderall. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Besides the meme of their Widowmaker versus ours.
Oh, okay.
It just stuck with me for a long time.
So in Way of the Gun, literally, so the character intro you have of the two main characters, again, they are reprehensible, but you kind of dig for them. This is literally their intro scene. It's Benicio del Toro, and I can't remember the name of the white guy. They are sitting on somebody's car, who you find out pretty quickly is not theirs, like counting money or doing something tawdry.
Sure.
Club lets out, bunch of people come out, including Sarah Silverman, who is just being Sarah Silverman. So annoying as shit. She's made a career out of it. I'm not going to hate on her for that. But she's doing an S-tier level Sarah Silverman impression of herself and just being annoying. And then she sees these people sitting on her boyfriend's car and starts losing her shit, saying just mouthfuls of annoying sailor talk in her tone. They come over there and they're like, she keeps going, and then actually, wait, I don't think she comes over until they say this, but she's just being loud and annoying. And just the white guy, I feel like I need to look up this guy's name and stop saying the white guy. Can I spell?
Don't know, can you?
I'm starting to think I can't. Ryan Phillippe. Ryan Phillip? Whatever. Ryan.
Probably Philip. Philippe? I don't know.
Yeah, Ryan Philippe, that sounds good. Ryan Philippe just like breaks out, like just interjects in this like annoying as fuck but conversation that he's not a part of, that's like the whole entire parking lot away. He goes, "Shut that cunt's mouth before I fuck start her head." That's the first line from our protagonist, is "Shut that cunt's mouth before I fuck start her head." And these are the guys you are supposed to kind of root for. Are you fucking kidding me? And then comes over and she starts talking bad shit about how her boyfriend's gonna beat the shit out of them and for them to get off the hood of their car, blah, 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 blah. He comes over and the boyfriend's like, "Honey, please shut the fuck up." Like, he's over it. And he goes, "She's got a big mouth on her, but she's not wrong. I will slap you silly. Like, I'll do the man dance," or whatever like that. He's got this great way of saying it. The dialogue in this movie is choice. And, there's this pause, and Benicio del Toro gets off the car, looks at Ryan, they both look back at each other. One of them kisses a random girl that had nothing to do and was just standing there. I think Ryan Phillippe like spits in Sarah Silverman's face and punches her, and then they get the shit knocked out of them. And then like after they are on the ground, beat to a pulp, it like pulls back, and then you've got this like what's it called? Not it's not fourth wall break, but the like one of them starts to narrate like
Yeah.
it's just like
Voiceover.
yeah, voiceover. Thank you. And it's like, and they're awesome. Like the movie goes on, and it's great. And they are complete assholes, but you kind of root for them. And they do some, like one of them literally one of them torches a guy, and you still kind of root for him. Or at least I do. I don't know. I like, it's good. And so like, this is like one of those proofs because I didn't want to like just shit on two things and talked about something from a completely different Villeneuve, but like you can make movies and TV shows where the characters are assholes, but they're funny, interesting, have these qualities that make them likable, as opposed to the last two entries on the list, which Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there is a certain je ne sais quoi to being likable and still being a dick. Like
It's a hard needle to thread, but
it is
when you're
difficult.
paying millions of dollars like with Velma, you gotta.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've beaten that horse enough. What horse would you like to ride us onto Happy Town?
We're not going to Happy Town.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I've been reading a book called The Displacement. Holy shit. Um, I have never been so frightened by nature in my life. So the whole book...
Damn, nature, you scary.
Yeah, the whole book is about like what happens if there was the world's first Category 6 hurricane and it just flattened Miami. Which is a more real threat than you really want to think about. Because, like, hurricanes happen, and, yeah, the Category 5 hurricanes are pretty fucking dastardly. And, like, there is nothing you can do about it except get the fuck out of the way. Like, you don't stop it. It does what it fucking wants. It will go where it wants. Fuck you. Like, that's it. That is... Okay, cool. I'll leave. Like, I'll evacuate. So you follow people, like, as they get evacuation orders. And, like, they have no house now. So now you have to deal with, like, oh, I have to go live in a mega shelter. I don't have, like, they lose, like, the lady loses her wallet, or, like, her purse, so she, like, doesn't have a wallet. So she doesn't have money. So she's now at the whims of, like, government vouchers and shit like that, despite her being, you know, formerly wife of this really wealthy surgeon. All shit, suddenly she's just fucking broke.
Mm.
It's just really harrowing and rapid descent from like kind of luxury and options to you take what you can fucking get.
Mm-hmm.
And it is grim. Like it is super bleak. And you know, my time when I was working at Restart, like I talked to people who had been in like New Orleans when Katrina hit and shit like they'd experienced shit like that, huge displacement. You know, and one lady I worked with, her house lit on fire. You know, it's not the same kind of level of apocalyptic destruction, but like that is displacing. You know, and the amount of stress and struggle that comes with being just your house isn't there anymore. Get fucked. Like it's crazy. And yeah, this book is just emblematic of that, and in a big way. And it's written really, really well. And I'm like, God, I want to go to Kansas, where there's like no risk of any of this. Like, I don't give a shit
Just
if I'm living in a
tornadoes.
yeah, I don't give a shit if I'm living in a corp. Kansas doesn't have fucking tornadoes.
Huh?
Kansas is pretty safe.
Kansas is tornadoes, bro. That's Tornado Alley.
I thought it was too far north. I'm thinking of Dakotas. All right,
You're
fuck
thinking
it.
those are
Alright.
not even remotely close.
They're like stacked on top of each other. Look at a map.
All right. So Tornado Alley. Hold on, I need to see the.
All right.
Is that Kansas? I think Alley just goes right through Kansas. Nebraska is above Kansas, and then you have Dakotas. I think.
Okay. Yeah, it is. They are stacked.
Nailed it. Fuck with me.
I
Come on.
I thought Tornado Alley was like to the side, or not.
No, it's like in the middle of the country.
Yeah. Okay. All right. North Dakota it is. The fuck away. Yeah. Just it is a really harrowing look at just how destructive nature can be and just how how fucking rough it can be afterward.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you were beforehand, you are at mercy of something else.
There's that, I don't remember what it's from, but there's that quote of like, I think it's George Carlin talking about like, oh, we're worried about destroying the planet. No, we're going to destroy ourselves. The planet will be fine. It'll kill us, but
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Yeah, like that is, I mean that is one thing to remember too. Is it's like, and it's kind of a harrowing thing to think about, but it's like, there's talk about like biodiversity going down dramatically because of humans' influence. And
Yeah.
it's like that's true, and it's very very frightening, and it occurs a lot of existential dread in me when I stop to think about it. So I try not to. Um, but it's like sure, but this shit has happened before, and there's fuck tons of species because we have been here 3,000 years, or I think humans have approximately been around 10,000 years. It's like yeah, and the planet's gonna be here another several billion.
Yep.
We will go, and more shit will crop up and
Yeah.
evolve and split off and from a
We are
common
we are a
ancestor.
blip on the
Yeah,
timeline.
like even if we're alive the next million years, which is an unfathomable amount of time,
Yeah.
that's thousands of generations. And then we eventually die for whatever reason or fuck off from Earth for whatever reason, whatnot. We have a good run.
Earth
It's
will
like,
be very happy when we're gone.
yeah,
When we
Earth will be
fucking
like,
bounce.
that will be 1/4000th of the projected time Earth is going to continue fucking spinning around. That is less than 1/4%
Yeah.
of the time left, not counting the time before. Yeah, so,
Which is
cool.
wild when you look at how much of it. While we're on this topic, which is wild when you look at how much of an impact we've had on like the
Oh
ozone and
yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, to be like we are a natural disaster happening constantly.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you think about what flattened, like I mean, the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, like that did basically the damage that we did. It just did it all at once.
Yeah.
We're just doing it over a couple of years.
We're just taking our time.
Yeah, we're just
Easing
like
into our
we're
stride.
slow poisoning. Like we're like acupuncture
Intentionally
as opposed
too.
to a
This is the
power
best
drill.
part. Yeah, like the meter was just like a thing that happened. We're just like continually doing this when scientists are like, "Bruh,
It's like
stop."
guys.
So
Stop!
as we come to a close here, some things to potentially uplift your balls
We gotta end
after
on a
we're
bit of a
done.
happier note.
Yeah. I've got a song to recommend. My brother's not a big fan of it, but I can't stop listening to it. I would really recommend y'all check out Hacker by Death Grips. It is stupid, beatsy fun, and yeah, I can't get enough. I've probably listened to it every day this week, at least 3 times. I'm gonna listen to it right after this fucking show's over too.
Or if you want something different and it's a bop.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's I stumbled upon it. I've never seen the show that it came out for, and I
Graphics
don't know
are
if the
good
show's
though.
any good. No idea. But it's called Shinda by Masayoshi Oishi. Um, and it's wonderful. It's like
Just listen to it.
upbeat Halloween music.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it's about right. No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't have a better way to describe it. It's a fucking bop. It is delightful. Listen to it. It's magnificent. Um,
And with that, our episode. Thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this, please feel free to
like,
comment
share,
and subscribe.
but don't forget that new episodes of Super Pros Roast come out the first and third Saturday of every month.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice.